On October 7th in the morning, I was sleeping, and my husband's mother called us to tell us to turn on the news very quickly because there's a war going on. And we were like, war? What war? What are you talking about? It's 6:30 in the morning. Right away, I turned on my phone and I saw images of the terrorists on the white pickup trucks in Sderot.
On October 7th in the morning, I went to the synagogue to pray for the holiday of Simchat Torah and was putting on my prayer shawl, my talis, when someone grabbed my shoulder. I looked up from my prayer shawl and there was a professor at one of Israel's universities. He said, "Doron, what are you doing here?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Israel has been invaded by Hamas."
At 7:30 a.m. on October 7th, I was at home in Tel Aviv, sleeping, and I heard sirens, very loud sirens from right outside my window. The siren was an indication that Tel Aviv was under rocket attack. This is not the first time I'd heard such sirens living in Israel for more than 10 years. When I heard that siren at 7:30 a.m., I did what everyone in the city did, went to my stairwell and moved down. And I met all of my neighbors there, was half asleep, looking at my phone.
Where was I on October 7th? Well, I slept through the first hour of the massacre because the sirens didn't start in Tel Aviv until 7:30 a.m. I jumped out of bed, ran downstairs with all the other neighbors there, running down with their kids, asking me, is it Hamas, is it Hezbollah? I'm like, I don't know, I just got out of bed together with you. Immediately rocket interceptions in the sky. We realize something is seriously wrong. I go back upstairs, switch on TV and start to see the news. The headline says, terrorists spotted in Sderot. And I think, wow, that's terrible, but I guess the police are going to get to them soon, right? And then as the news comes in throughout the day and the casualties go up and up, I just watch in horror and shock and understand that Israel is at war.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but on the other hand, I kind of did believe what I was seeing. When you live in Israel, nothing surprises you anymore. I think for me, what was the most surprising about October 7th is the amount of terrorists that were able to infiltrate into Israel and the amount of people that were massacred that day.
I went home and gathered my family in our central room around our holiday table. I said to my wife and my children, I want you all to remember we're celebrating a holiday that goes back 3,300 years. That's how long we've survived. Today is a day that you will always remember. At that time, of course, we didn't know how horrible the massacre was going to be.
I understand there's rockets, the Iron Dome maybe is intercepting, but as I'm following the news already 7:30 a.m., 7:45 a.m., it's clear that there's much more going on than a rocket attack. It's clear that there's an infiltration of some kind on the Gaza border, and very soon we received more and more reports, not just about an infiltration, but about an invasion. And as the day went on, we learned more about hostages and the massacre that took place at the Nova Festival, and so on and so on.
The next day, I think like everyone else, I was distributing food for soldiers. I went down to Soroka Hospital and spoke with one of the survivors of the Be'eri massacre who bravely defended the kibbutz and heard his crazy story. It was the first time I began to understand what was happening down in the kibbutzim. And then, cut a long story short, soon found myself doing media within a week from the Prime Minister's office. But it was a crazy moment of fear and anxiety. We were running on adrenaline.
The first thing I did after I saw that video was, of course, me being me, make a video of my own. I wanted the whole world to know what was happening because I knew that very, very quickly Israel would respond and the story of October 7th would be forgotten. There was so much fog and chaos that day. We were looking for one of our family members who was at the Nova Festival. My husband's cousin was murdered at the festival. And only a few days later, I found out that my cousin, Agam Belger, 19 years old, was taken hostage into Gaza and still hasn't returned.
But I said to my family, I say this to myself every day, just like we have survived 3,300 years, exiles from Rome, from Babylon and Assyria, the Holocaust, the exile from Spain. We are going to survive this, continue building a beautiful country for our people.
I prepared my things, found my uniform, and very soon after, I was sitting in the IDF spokesperson's unit's office, trying to do what I can to explain the attack that happened, to show the world, to make the case for Israel, and to spread the truth.
The whole country came together because we realized only two things matter right now. Hamas has to go down and the hostages have to go home. We're in a fight for our lives and a fight for our homes.